Hello and welcome to the Sovereign CEO podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Ann, and today I am joined by guest Deborah McDaniel. She is the founder of Lead Like a Matriarch. She is an innovator and master coach, amongst many other things. Deborah, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hmm. It's an absolute pleasure, and I feel so grateful and happy that you've agreed to come onto the podcast today. Because there is so much in your story and what we our previous conversation could have been a podcast episode on its own.
It should have.
Looking at your chart, it should have. It really should. I looking at your chart, and this I don't think this episode's even really going to be centered on your chart so much, even though the idea was that we wanted to look at different energetic personalities and how they create wealth, how they create leadership, how they cultivate influence and leadership in their business. You're a 3-5 manifesting generator, and the first thing that popped out when we spoke was your pioneering ways, your eye for innovation. And the question that came up was, have you ever noticed? I mean, the question that came up for me was, and for the audience, have you noticed that some women create entire movements and then disappear before they receive the rewards? When we look at your chart, we see
Mhm.
the 1858 channel, which some people call the channel of correction. But with you, what I'm seeing is this is a visionary mind who can always see a better way. And you take human
Mhm.
design and you apply it, and you take AI and you apply it, and you innovate, and it reaps rewards for you naturally. And then we see the third line. The third line's like, hey, I know this way. So you tell
Mhm.
us about all the things that you've innovated and how self-abandonment has kind of played a role in there. But let's look at that.
Yeah, okay, so this could be a really long story, but, I would say I've been in business for I'm going on my 5th year. I think I'm in my 5th year of business, because I really started at the end of 2020-ish, but things, they took off, 2021. So I started, the end of 2020, and that was the first time that I consider maybe me innovating something. It was like divine circumstances almost, where I had been in a toxic corporate job. I was 7 months pregnant at the time, and I was going through the ringer just trying to get basic accommodations, and I had built my identity up at that point. I think I was, 30, 31, something like that, and I had built my whole identity on being a high achiever, super independent woman, the youngest person ever in my role. Whatever role I was in, I was always the youngest person, the only Black woman in that role. So the accolades were things that I built my entire identity around. I'm going toe to toe with men, which if you understand my story and being raised by a sociopathic father who told me at almost all the time as a woman, as a girl, you can never go toe to toe with men. So I had this chip on my shoulder of I am going to go toe to toe with men and I'm going to win. And so I was in this position where it was male dominated. Every one of my peers that was a man disliked me as a person because I am a female, I'm the youngest person ever in the position, whatever the case may be. But they couldn't do anything about it because I was also so good at my job. So they needed me, but equally disliked me. So, the stars aligned. I wind up getting pregnant unexpected. And I'm in my 30s. It's the hardest pregnancy that I've ever experienced, and I'm asking for accommodations. Well, it's now the men have a way to start to knock me down. So my performance starts to go down. Nobody's helping me. I'm drowning, struggling. And for the first time, my identity is okay, I'm not being a high performer. What's going on? And I went through this whole journey. It was my first, I think, dark night of the soul. And I thought, I just wanna get out of this. I don't wanna do this anymore. I'm realizing, I really wanna be with my kids. I am rewriting what is my identity outside of the corporate, baddie? Who am I? And I decided my mom had asked me if we could write a book. about our corporate experiences, and she really wanted to write, but she didn't have the, like, emotional pull. And so if you look at my chart, my conscious sun is that gate 12. It's like I have a way with words, but at the time I didn't know. I didn't know. I just knew that I was really good at writing, and everybody had always told me, "You're really great at writing." So I told my mom, "Sure, like, let me step in. I'll finagle some stuff, and we gotta bring this to life. We gotta make people feel it. Like, if they're gonna read a story about Black women in corporate America, we need to get them to empathize." And it was during
Right.
the, like, Black Lives Matters movement, so the timing, I think, was very lucky, but also that innovator spirit of me being like, "This is a really good time for us to write this book." So we wind up writing, and the book we self-published. No publisher would touch it because the topic was really touchy, and it wasn't just about our experiences, it was about, like, leaving corporate America with a settlement. So it was like a very salacious book about not just what we're experiencing, but how to get paid when you leave. So no publisher wanted it. So
Wow.
we wound up I learned how to self-publish. I learned how to format. We did it all ourselves. We, like, bootstrapped this thing. And then my mom went on LinkedIn and she started to share about the book and share about her journey. And that thing took off because just the timing of it, people were like, we have this mass exodus that's happening in corporate America. And so people were buying this book like hundreds a month, to the point that it started to get to thousands a month. And we were getting people all over the world, like South Africa. We were like, this is crazy. Well, somehow a Forbes editor wound up getting a copy of the book. Somebody had forwarded it to a Forbes editor, and that editor read the book, loved the writing in it, and then decided to interview my mom. So suddenly, my first real business project gets featured in Forbes. And, like, I'm getting questions from people that are like, "How did you" they're asking my mom, "How did you do this? How did you learn how to write in a way that, like, grips people?" 'Cause it's not grammatically correct, but it is a very vivid, gripping story that people wanna read from start to finish. And so my mom said it was me. And so suddenly I'm having demand. I'm having people ask me, "Can you write my book? Can you show me how you self-publish? Can you help me with blah, blah, blah?" And the timing of that happened to be in the boom of, like, the multi-author books. So I'm getting seen from all these different places of people that are asking me to either ghostwrite it or edit it or format it, or how did we get it to become a bestseller in such a short amount of time? And so now I have a business. And that first iteration of my business, I reached six figures in the first, like, 11 months of that. And then I burned out because I was not prepared for the amount of demand that I didn't realize people would want in what I did, but equally in me. That was always like a visibility
Yeah.
thing. So I burned out super hard and shut that down, and that was the first time that I, like, abandoned something that I became known for, and that was, like, a repeating thing. So it's like I pivot, I figure out a new thing, which was attachment styles, and I'm, like, learning about attachment styles, and then I'm like, "Oh my god, you could use this not just for your intimate relationships, but for your business. Like, what is your attachment style as a
Yes.
CEO?" Because now I'm on the other side of
Yeah.
burning out and I'm trying to figure out what happened. How did I lose my leadership in my business the first time around? So I'm going so deep,
Mm.
and I, like, figure this out, and I started working behind the scenes with a bunch of seven-figure coaches as their OBMs, and I started noticing the same patterns that I had at the six-figure level are amplified at the seven-figure level, and I was like, it's relationships. How you were attached as a kid is the same way that you likely will attach to your team and your clients, and all of the sticky issues that, like,
Yep.
bottleneck businesses are attachment styles. And so the same
Yes.
thing. I was one of the first people to start talking about that, and then other people started to catch on, other people started to run with it, and again, I was like, "Oh." Like, I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of seeing other people take my work. And so then I'm off to the next like innovation. So it's been like an iterative thing of constantly seeing where trends are going and then finding the sweet spot to like jump into it. But then at some point getting annoyed and like dipping out and letting other people take ownership of it.
Mm. But also tell us about the I know this is it doesn't matter how long the story is, but tell us about the AI thing. It's like, okay, so when you say you tapped into trends, this is completely unconscious, right? You just like,
Mhm.
it's like you have an antenna. It's not, you don't sit down and go,
Yes.
what's actually going on around here? But you're tuned
Right.
in, right? It's that 12,
Uh-huh.
that 12 perceives. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, tell us
Absolutely.
about the
It is
AI
like an
and how
antenna.
that just blew up as well.
Yeah, okay, so what happened with the AI? So AI was last year, and that was probably the, like, biggest boom that I experienced. And it was actually not because I was looking at what was trending, it was because I had and this is also a thing, I typically sell the things that I realize I need. So when I
Yeah.
switched from ghostwriting to attachment styles, I got into attachment styles because I was like, oh, my attachment style is the thing that held me back from like really owning this ghostwriting concierge business that I had. And so now I'm like learning about it. And then I'm like, oh, other people probably have the same issue. Let me sell the thing. So the same thing happened with AI images where I was doing at the time, I was really well known for content and storytelling. And people were loving my storytelling circles because, again, I'm a ghostwriter. Like, I know how to tell a really good story. And people tend to love my long form content, even though so many people will say long form content, people don't read it. People love my long form content. So they were asking me to show them how to storytell. And I was like, yeah. And then I realized I needed a better website because I was selling some high ticket stuff, VIP days, storytelling VIP days. And at the time, I had just recently been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. And I was thinking, like, I have these beautiful
Mm.
brand photos that my daughter took of me, like 2 years prior, but that's not what this brand wants to be. This brand wants to be edgy. It wants to be a little more grown up and not good girl. But I cannot. I was thinking I cannot take pictures for 4 hours again right now. Like, my body's super inflamed. I'm not loving what I'm feeling right now. I'm tired. I don't have the capacity. So the pictures were like a barrier. It was like, I need this website. I want to debut my new website, debut these new services, but I don't have the photos that match the vibe of the website that I'm building. And so I was like, what am I going to do? And at the time, I was so broke. Like, I was so broke. I was like, I think I had like $100 or $200 in my bank account at the time. And I was like, rent is due. I don't even know how I'm going to make rent. I need to sell these VIP days, but the website, like, I was really caught up in that. And then I thought, I'm hearing people talk about AI and everybody's saying it's super gimmicky and it's super cringe and like, you can tell that it's fake and like it's getting so much garbage. But I had seen a couple images that looked real. And I was like, could I teach myself how to do some AI images just to get my website up and running? So I like do some research. I figure it out. I start to play around. I like load $50 in the thing so that I can play. And I think about 2 hours into playing, I was like, holy shit, this is so realistic. So I like sent it to my mom and my sister. I didn't tell them what it was. And they were like, did you have a photo shoot? And I was like, no, it's AI. And so I'm floored. I'm like making hundreds of pictures of myself, like, the website be damned at this point because I'm just having so much fun making images. And my mom was like, you should, like, don't tell anybody this is AI and just like put on, like, it's so professional. It looks so good. And part of it is like I taught my daughter how to take photos of me, and I have a food photography past. That was one of my hobbies. So I understand composition and things. And that's part of what made my images look so real was the composition of them, not just the prompting.
Mm.
And so my mom was like, this is such a genius idea. Now you've got a beautiful website, blah, 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 blah. And then it hit me because I was like, again, that like unconscious download. As soon as I did my website and I'm looking at these photos and I'm looking at this gorgeous website that I made, I was like, I wonder how many other people would want AI images of them because for whatever reason, maybe they have fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue or whatever, they don't have professional photos of themselves. And at the time, as I have this download, I'm looking at social media and I'm watching people like demonize AI photos. And I am, if nothing else, I am like the person that stands up for the underdog. So seeing everybody talking shit about AI photos made me want to be like, okay, let me blow your minds right now and show you what this can really do. And so I decided I'm going to post the pictures online, and instead of just letting people assume I had a photo shoot, I'm going to say this is AI, and I'm going to put some feelers out to see would anybody love for me to do this. I'll just do it as a beta sale, a cash infusion just to pay rent, whatever. I wanted 5 people. I think my beta sale was $300 or $400 for a set of 20 AI images, and I wanted 5 people, and I was like, "That'll cover rent." And then I can get back to, selling my other stuff. Let me tell you, when I posted those photos and I admitted that this was AI, and everybody that was, so anti-AI was, zooming in, looking at the fingers, which I had photoshopped because I come from a graphic design background, so I, if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be professional. I
Yeah.
had one lady who her husband was a professional photographer. She had sent them to him and asked him if could he tell? He couldn't tell that they were AI. So everybody starts sharing this photo, this beta sale that I'm running, and I only want 5. I got those 5 within the first 2 hours, and it was a throwaway thing. I wasn't intending to make a business out of it. It was just I have this idea. I know I'm really good at this. This looks fucking amazing. I wonder how many other people would pay because, yeah, they could learn, but everybody is demonizing AI right now. So who would want to learn? And it's a time intensive thing. So, there was a part of me that knew this was going to be something that people bought, but I underestimated, as I tend to do, the demand from that thing because that one post I think got shared 50 times, 60 times. I had a link for the first 5 people to buy it. That link was booked. I posted it at 10 p.m. at night. I wasn't again, this was just a throwaway thing. I didn't, you know what I mean? So by 10 o'clock, I post it. I get my first 3 sales. I'm like, yay! I wake up at 8 a.m. the next morning, there's 14. And I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
shit. This is really fun, but also this is gonna take me a long time, and I only wanted 5, and now I've got 14." So, within that 30 minutes, I think I got 50 to 60 DMs from people that were like, "Where's the link? I wanna buy, I wanna buy." My stuff, my visibility stuff of having that really heightened, so many shares, so many DMs, my Facebook, my social media is crashing. Can't keep up with the amount of communication people are wanting to have with me. So I start to freak out and I'm like, okay, let's shut it down. Shut it down. Nope, we're not doing this. I need to go run. I need to go hide. I start to pull all the links, public links off of my stuff so that people cannot purchase. I'm locking it down. The demand was so high that even after I pulled the links, people were messaging the people who had the links so that they could buy. So within about 5 hours, I'm up to 35 sales. And at this point, I'm like, how are you guys getting the link? So I've got to message people to be like, hey, if somebody asks you for the booking link, no. I cannot, I got to shut it down. I'll open it back up later. One person found me on Venmo and Venmo'd me money. Like, they looked me up on Venmo to be like, "Hope you don't mind." I just people were, like, throwing money at me. So within, like, 2, 3 days, I made like, almost $15,000 cash. And from then, it was just, like, steady, steady, steady. I just kept getting more. As soon as I did my first, like, client reveal, which my first clients happened to be a seven-figure coach, it was Julia Wells, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll give it a go." I got so much
I
business from
actually
that.
remember her.
I
I
got
remember that post. I remember
Yes!
that visible as fuck post. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So Julia shared it with Amanda Francis because she was in Amanda Francis's mastermind. Amanda Francis was like, "I need photos right now," because the timing was the fires in California. She had a launch coming up. She couldn't do the photo shoot because there were fires happening, and she was like, "Hey, can you come through and get me some photos for my launch?" So suddenly, and Amanda Francis was like, I couldn't find you. You had locked down all your social media. She had went hunting for ways to contact me to pay me. So then I have Amanda Francis. I do another big reveal. I get another boom of like new business. So it was just like spreading like wildfire. So within like 4 months, I had already made like I made about like 80 to 85,000 in 4 months, and I had hit six figures within like 5, almost 6 months. Um, like it took off. Now, the thing that was happening outside of that boom with me were the people that were like, this is a valid, viable business idea. So now everybody is selling AI photo shoots. Everybody is doing like courses to sell the AI photo shoots. And so I was the pioneer, and everybody knew I
Yeah.
was the pioneer. And yet, all these other people are capitalizing on like the innovation that I created to make not that I was the first person to do AI photos, because obviously I wasn't, but the first person that made it mainstream, that made it desirable, that sold it like a luxury photo shoot and not just some cheap cringe AI photos. I like carved that entire lane out, and then other people started to run with it.
What I love, and I'm going to bring it back to human design just for 1 minute, is
Yeah.
all the story so far is sounds like magic. You keep saying it's timing. To me, I'm hearing this is a sacral being, a sacral MG who is in her magnetism, who is in alignment, and is responding and in her aliveness and her creativity. This is somebody who is encoded in their chart and they're living it, and that's why it's fucking
Yes.
blowing up. Everything's blowing up.
Mhm.
I believe you are just deeply in tune with your genius and your chart. And that is why. So it's not magic and it's not luck. It's not luck or
Mhm.
timing. It seems like
Right.
it is because that's what happened. Now, the other thing you said as well is like, it's just like, maybe
Mhm.
do you know what? I might have to do, if you don't mind, in
Yeah.
my group, I might want to do a case study actually and talk through
Oh,
your
yeah.
chart and how this actually helps.
Do
Because again,
it. Absolutely.
right, because it isn't this is alignment. This is what when people talk about alignment, this is what it is.
Mhm.
The other thing you said as well was, people talk about long form. What I love is that when you create business by design, you do not have to follow any trend. You write long form
Right.
because that 12 is all about language, moving people,
Yes.
emotion, and having it from that
Uh-huh.
moment. Like I'm a 57, right? So for me, I'm
Yep.
not going to write content all day and do things. I'm going to do it when that thing comes hot because that's when that
Yep.
impact and that resonance is going to have the biggest impact. So when people
Yes.
stop forcing scheduling and timetables and, oh, I have to do a caption rather than long form, again, you're getting out of your essence and you're trying to follow something
Mhm.
outside of yourself when actually, if you just followed your genius, things would blow up in
Mhm.
a beautiful way. And that's what happened for
Absolutely.
me with my incarnation of my business, the Projector Success Hub. I've spoke about this in my Aligned Business Accelerator with one of my clients the other day. She was also a projector because she was like, she first purchased from me 2 years ago when I was selling HD Business Blueprints, and she came into my group and she goes, but you were never selling. You were always you just showed up when you wanted. I know how she found me, but I didn't buy ever because you were directly selling anything. I just bought because I resonated with you. And
Mhm.
lots of people would, like you said, I was like, I don't have a website. I don't have all these things. I don't even
Yeah.
have links. And people would just watch a video on YouTube and be like, and find me. They would literally hunt me down
Yes.
somehow and find me. I'd get emails. I was like, how'd you get this email
Mhm.
address? And they were like, I saw a
Right.
video and I knew I had to work with you. And it's like, okay, I'm not a six-figure earner yet. And I will admit that it's not only that. There have to be where I went wrong, where I didn't have systems in place, like I didn't have a structure
Yeah.
that I need to create the actual wealth that I'm now going to create over the next watch what's going to happen over the next 18
Yes.
months. It's going to be
Absolutely.
wild.
I can
But
see it. I
and
can
so
already
obviously
feel
I'm
it,
the
like
third line, my third line way as well showed me. So I'm now refining and
mhm.
this moment is like, oh, everything that I've learned over the last few years, this
Yes.
is where I get to build properly. And
Mhm.
this actually leads
Yes.
really beautifully into let's talk about like what was really underneath the visibility. Yes, you got bored. Yes, you were pioneering and moving on, but there was something a little
Yeah.
bit deeper. Let's go into that because it
Mhm.
was the same for me. Let's go there.
Ooh, okay, let's go there. So, this actually is, like, the heart of the work that I do now as, lead like a matriarch. It was really born out of, like, I would say for all the business success that I've had and all the iterations of business that I've had and pivoting, and people know me as like, this chick is the queen of pivoting and selling out like at the drop of a dime. She's pivoted her entire business and people buy it rapidly. So it's like I kind of got known for that. And that was really cheeky. But really, what was underneath it was this like deep seated fear of my own power and deep seated
Yes.
shame. There was so much shame, like that first iteration of, I've never had any experience before writing a book, but I just know that I have a natural talent for like emotional based writing. And then that being on Forbes, where there are other people that have been trying for decades or whatever. And, I'm hearing it. I'm hearing people being like, how did this chick do that? And especially a Black woman, and especially a Black fat woman. How dare you?
Yeah.
And I was literally, so the 5, my unconscious 5, I wish it would be a little bit more unconscious. I wish people would have a little less audacity with me, but I was literally having like my own visibility stuff that came from my mother wound. My mom telling me
Mm,
like, you're only desirable when you're skinny. So for us, the book was like a double-edged sword, right? Because my mom wanted to have this visible book. She wanted to tell her story. I wanted to support her. But my mom was also overweight at the time and had her own visibility stuff that she was projecting onto me. And so, as popular as the book was, it was also like at the same time, like I was hearing this, we shouldn't be in the front. We shouldn't actually be the like face of this book because we're fat and we're Black. So like we got to put somebody else in the front, and that person was my little sister. She's skinnier than us. So she, didn't really contribute to the book in the way that me and my mom did, but it was like the wounding of, you don't deserve to be in the spotlight. You deserve to be in the back,
mm,
which mirrored being raised by a father who said, as a woman, as a girl, you deserve to be in the back. You should never take the spotlight from a man. So all of that, I always had this like guilt and shame for being so naturally magnetic, so naturally good at selling people and
yeah.
getting people to pay for my stuff. So that was like the undercurrent that was running through every iteration of my business, like feeling genuinely excited in the beginning, feeling like a child, like playing, like I'm just playing, I'm just having fun. And other people get to enjoy the fun that I'm having because it feels fun, to suddenly, I shouldn't be doing this because who are you to take up space? You don't have experience. You're too good at standing out. Like you gotta fade, you gotta dim this down. So when I had those beta sales with the AI images, and I realized like I had way more than 5. I only wanted the 5, and suddenly I'm at like 14 and 35. All my shit came up like, "Oh crap, I've done too much. I've gotten too big. Too many people are looking at me. I'm
Mm,
too good at this. Other people have been studying AI images far longer than I have. Like, I gotta, let's pull it back. Let's pull it back. No more sales. No more sales. Right. But that iteration forced me to confront that pattern because it was like, normally when I shut it shut down and my business goes from way up here to up here. So I would have this like roller
right.
coaster of 16K, 2K,
Yeah.
17K, 500, like, because I was battling my own inner like, this is not okay, I shouldn't be doing this. But with the AI photos, I ran
Right.
my normal like sabotage pattern of I'm pulling it back, I'm shutting down the links, and people weren't letting me run my sabotage. They were still throwing money at me. And so I had to confront that pattern and be like, okay, my normal strategy isn't working. This thing is moving like it's a ship. It's on the move. Am I going to continue to try and jump off the ship? Or am I going to get to the steering wheel and start to steer this thing? And that's when I was like, I got to get to the steering wheel. Like, this doesn't make any sense right now. I have to get into my leadership here and lead this.
Mm. Again, it's like when I hear about, because for me last year, I told you, I think we spoke about it. I went through it again, which formed my body of work, the maiden to the queen. We have a very similar path, the maiden to the queen and
Mhm,
the father wound and the mother wound. I saw in my, like you went through this journey where you see through for me, it was the mirror of intimate partnership where I was like, oh, my attachment wound is relating to my wealth. This is everything that I've
mhm.
seen now and within through that mirror is showing me what the fuck is going on with my wealth. And like you
Yes.
say there, this money going up, this money going down, this feast and famine and pulling back, avoidance. It's the avoidance, right? And
Mhm.
the push pull with your wealth is the same push pull
Yeah,
with the because the wealth is masculine.
it is.
So yeah, and so your relationship. So tell us about that then. Like, how do you think your relationship was sh- was shaped by like your relationship with your sociopathic father? Because I also had a sociopathic father who raised me. How did that shape your relationship with the masculine, and how has that impacted you in your business and your perhaps even lead like a
Mm.
matriarch or your own relationship? Mm. Lots of
Mhm.
questions there. Sorry, too many questions.
Yeah. Ooh, so good. So, so my dad is, like you said, very sociopathic, which I've been no contact with him for almost 3 years now, and being away from that influence allowed me to really see how fragile they are. Like, their identity is so fragile. So my dad's main tool of raising anybody, but like not just kids, like this is how he is as a sociopath, just doesn't have like a moral conscience, doesn't have empathy, just does not understand empathy. So it was like domination. Domination and
Yeah,
like you lead with fear. You lead by scaring people into submitting to you.
yeah,
You lead with violence if you have to. And
yes,
so that was how I was raised. And what sucked about that was when my dad, because as the head of household, he was very influenced by evangelical Christianity. So it was like, not
mm,
just in his eyes, are you bad to be a woman in power, but you are literally going against God's will for you because God wants women to be
yeah,
subservient. Like, we see this whole thing happening with the Southern Baptist Church, or the Southern Baptist Convention, where they're saying like women can't be pastors. My dad fully believed that. So if we went to a church where they happened to have a woman guest pastor or whatever, we would have to change because in my dad's eyes, like, this is an abomination. This is going against God. So I had this double whammy of, it's not just that my dad believes I am less than, but my dad is telling me that God also thinks that my best place to be is subservient. It is to not have any power,
mm,
to only show up and support the man. So who I be at my core, which is a very strong, assertive woman who has a lot of opinions, which it's all up in my chart, that channel of like judgment. It's like I
yeah,
have discerning. I discern. That I always felt really conflicted with. And so couple that with my dad, because of his behaviors, was in and out of jail constantly. So he was constantly getting into trouble with the law, constantly going away. The longest stretch of time that he went to jail was a year and a half. And I remember that time vividly because I was with my stepmom, and she had been a stay-at-home mom her whole life, and we had no money. We had absolutely no money. My dad suddenly gets arrested while he's on the road. He was a truck driver. So we had no notice. He gets arrested. Suddenly, all of the funds are dried up. We are like near homeless. We had no food. We had no, and my stepmom's pride, we couldn't apply for like benefits or things like that because she didn't want people to know that we were struggling. So what that meant was food was really scarce. Money was very scarce. We were constantly on the brink of like losing our home, all of that stuff. And I had at the time my 2-year-old brother. So I'm constantly like giving up food to feed my 2-year-old brother because there's just not enough. So I was like, the options are my dad wound up kicking me out when I was 18 because I decided that I wanted to go to the school that I had a full ride scholarship, and it wasn't the college that he chose for me. So he kicked me out, and I was like, I will never, like, now that I'm free, because this is like, it never considered I could just leave, that I could just like walk away, run away, because I was parented to believe like, you cannot, you're a girl. What are you like? All there is you, and you are property. And until I give you to somebody, like, that's it. So then he kicks me out, and I realize like, I'm free. I got out. And this is where the shadow side of that took over, the wounded masculine in me, because I was like, I will never,
Yeah.
now that I'm out, I will never be in a position where a man can dominate me in that way again. And so to prevent that, I like armored up and I became this hyper dominant woman, which again, like makes sense. You look
Yes.
at my corporate job, I was like, not just I'm going to show you up, but I'm seeking opportunities to go into male dominated spaces to show up the men because again, you will never dominate me. And so I
Right.
became the dominating person, the person that like people were very
Yeah.
intimidated by. And that was what I wanted. I wanted you to be so fearful of who I could be, of what you thought I could do, that you never even tried to approach me in a disrespectful way. So the problem, like it was very successful. I made a lot of money. But in my the way that I had and held money was very much like constricting. Like there's never enough. My own wounding with being almost homeless with my dad and also experiencing homelessness with my mom when I was even younger, I was like, I have to control everything because I cannot trust anybody around me to take care of this in a way that ensures
Um,
that I will be safe at the end of it. So I became very like constricting to the money, very like I dominated the money just like I dominated relationships, dominate like it took me a long time. Um it took me until I was like 35. How old is my daughter? My daughter's 17. About 34. Took me until I was about 34 to be like, "Oh, this dominating aspect of who I am that is protection, yes, it's working." Like, we have the nice home. We have like all the bills paid, everything. Like my husband, he gets to enjoy the fruits of like all the labor that I'm doing. But I am a terrible person to be around, truly,
um,
because my kids are fearful of me. And that for me was like a wake up call. Like, my kids should not be fearful of me. My kids should not have anxiety because of me. Who I'm being in order to parent them in the way that I think is going to help them is not helping them. It's actually making their lives harder. And I had this like foresight where I'm like, if I don't change how I'm relating to my kids and equally how I'm relating to my business in the same aspect, but more so, I was really focused on like my kids. I was like, they're going to turn 18. They're going to have a giant chip on their shoulder, just like I did. They're going to go out into the world wounded by me. And the ripple effect of who I am is going to cause my kids to stumble and fall and be held back in all the same ways. And like once somebody figures out what your weakness is, they will exploit it, because that's what was happening to me in my corporate life. Was like once somebody realized that my deepest thing was like, I just want you to trust me. If you could dangle, like right now, we don't trust you. I will jump through the moon. I will jump to the stars to try and earn your trust, because that's the like chip on my shoulder is, as a female, my dad told me over and over and over again, you're not trustworthy. So I could just see my kids having a similar thing. And I'm like, they don't know. They won't know that they have this chip on their shoulders, but other people will know, and other people will take advantage of that. And who my kids could become will be squandered by who I'm being to them right now. So I have to change. And the benefit was it changed how I ran my business too. But it was really like my wounds are messing up my kids, and I don't want that. And that was what led me into, like, what is a matriarch really, besides just a dominating female?
Great. Great question, because I was going to ask that question. But before we lead into that, something was coming through, and I was just thinking something. So before, because I wanted to, what two questions came through. One is,
Yeah,
how do you define a matriarch? But I don't want to ask that yet. And you just led into it.
yeah.
I want to know,
Okay.
as a high achieving woman who creates success and personal power, really, in some ways, through this armor and this wounded masculine template as a form of protection, because we discover along the way that our relationship with the masculine has shaped our internal masculine. We both have this experience.
Mhm.
How would you then describe? What are you abandoning? Where are you self-abandoning when this is actually leading? Tell us about that from your experience,
Where am I
because
abandoning
I
when
believe there is
the
a form of
mask?
self-abandonment. Go on.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely, because what I was abandoning was, like, my softness. I wasn't
Yeah.
letting people that was, like, the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing for me was, like, the amount of softness and trust that I had and faith in the world to be nice to me, to be kind to me, faith in myself to be able to navigate the world not being kind to me. But also I was so shut down in my emotions. Like I was somebody at that time, like it's so hard for me to put myself back in that place because I'm so like connected to my emotions now. But crying was like not a thing that I could ever do. I could never get in touch with how I actually felt at any given time. I couldn't access like grief. I couldn't access rage. I couldn't access even joy to like, it was like, I could not, I was so numb to the world because all of that became like, it felt like it was weakness in a sense. So, because
Mm,
I couldn't emotionally connect to myself, it was impossible for me to build relationships that were anything other than superficial. And the problem with that is, as a
yes.
five, people feel like they know me almost immediately. Like there's something in my aura that is just like best friend energy. So people will think like we're so close. And I would be like, we're not close at all. Like
Yeah.
like you have it's almost like a parasocial relationships that I'm having with people where they think we're super, super close, we're best friends. And I'm like, I don't even know you. I don't like
Mm,
I don't consider anything. Like it was so, and then the like blindsiding of people realizing like I am incapable of forming like intimate relationships with people because I am so blocked in my own emotional
mm,
like, so once that came down, like once I started to get in touch with my emotions and I realized how freaking emotional I am, it was like, "Oh." I can lead with my emotions. It's not weakness, and that's where, like, emotional writing unlocked for me, that gate 12, like, I had never even considered my emotions being a strength. I had only ever considered my emotions being weakness. And so even that, to have like very emotional writing be so resonant with people, to have people say that they love to like, that was very like, there's a whole other paradigm out here where what I have shut down is actually the things that people love to hear and see, and they're actually getting to know me, and it's not like a fake it's not like a fake mask that I'm wearing. It's like I'm genuinely leading with an open heart. That's what I didn't have before. I had a very closed off heart, and now I lead with very
Yeah.
open heart.
Right. And as I'm listening, there's a couple of things that were coming through. So I like again, we're very parallel in our experience in some ways. Like, so we both have open emotional solar plexus. And what I'm
Mhm.
like, often, so they say when we have the open, we are absorbing and amplifying. So one of the
Yes.
maladaptive or the protective patterns is to actually completely dissociate and numb. So instead of becoming a super empath, you actually stop experiencing because you have to,
Mhm.
because otherwise it's going to be too much. So you become very numb. For me, I numbed out with drugs and alcohol as well, many years, like
Mhm.
cocaine, Adderall, well, also to get my work done
Yeah.
because I was a projector who wanted to be a generator.
Yeah.
But I was just numbed out for like from the age of 12, I was pretty much taking cocaine, smoking weed
Wow.
daily, drinking like I could drink a
Mm.
bottle of Henny, like no ice and
Mhm.
no chaser. It was like that was
Oh
my
my
life
gosh.
and that was how I functioned.
Yeah.
Um, and it was like, but what it is, well, what I'm hearing when you're like emotion, I'm thinking this is vulnerability. It
Yeah.
wasn't just numbing out, it was actually you awakening. Like, I went through that initiation as well of actually, because I still had empathy, I was still cared for people, but you're right, you're describing, like, many people had this relationship with me as well. It's like, wow, like, we're very connected. I'm like, I'm just well, I was avoidant. I'm like, I'm a
Mhm.
Capricorn as well, so maybe it's that. I don't
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
it's
that
this
tracks.
vulnerability and this heart opening. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
That's exactly
let's
it.
come to our final part then. Yeah. So let's then tell us how would you define a matriarch?
Yeah. So when I when I decided, like, I have to learn how to be something different, but also honor the fact that I am a woman who it is in me to be in a position of leadership. Like, I am an ambitious, I am an assertive woman, but how do I not dominate? So it was even before I started to learn the terms about patriarchy and stuff like that. But it was like the only model of leadership that I've learned from both of my parents equally, because my mom's a narcissist, is this very like extractive, manipulative, dominating way of getting what you want.
Mm,
And because I was able to see the repercussions in my kids, I had to explore, like, what does it look like for me to understand that I am in a position of influence and I am in a position of leadership, but not take
mm,
advantage of that, not dominate my kids, not extract and manipulate them into getting what I need them to do, but like actually build a relationship where they trust me. They come to me with their questions. They know that they can be curious and I'll meet them with curiosity. And that, like, again, this the first thing I had to think about was, like, in the future. Like, I was already thinking legacy before I could find the words for it, but I was like, what I want is to be in a position where when my kids are grown and they have their own lives and they have their own dreams and they don't have to be in communication with me or their dad anymore, that they genuinely choose to still be around us. They choose to still honor that relationship. And so that influenced absolutely everything that I did from that like point of awakening onward. Was like, if I'm gonna discipline my kids, how is this going to impact? What are they gonna think when they don't have to be around me? Will they want to be around me? And especially I'm navigating my own no contact journey with my parents. So for me, the matriarch is like, you understand that you are the head of whatever it is that you are birthing. You can be a mother, but you don't have to be a mother. But you understand that you have a purpose, you have a mission on your heart that is to birth things, to create things. Like, I think about the journey from like maiden to mother, but even beyond that, for me, it's like matriarch. It's like with a maiden, the journey is really to come back to yourself. It is to belong to yourself. It is to reclaim the parts of you that you didn't get to experience because patriarchy, right? So you're gaining your voice, you're gaining your boundaries, you're gaining your sexuality, you're gaining all of the like individuality that makes you you. But the next step is like when you're done reclaiming yourself, and you move into creation, that's a matriarch. When you're focused on what am I creating
Mm,
and how do I steward this? How do I
yeah,
tend to
yeah.
this
Wow.
so that it blooms, so that it's not suffocated by my leadership? I'm not like stifling it out. I want it to bloom. I want it to become its biggest
Mm,
potential. How do I steward this? How do I tend to this? How do I guide this without my individuality conflicting with my creation's individuality? And that can be
mm,
business too. Like that's how I look at my
yeah,
business. My business is its own thing. And my job
yeah.
is to just steward it, tend to it. How would I do that if I'm not like imposing my individuality on the thing that I'm birthing, on the thing that I'm creating? And so it's this really beautiful relationship where you like when you get to this place, you naturally find that people want to show up for you, that you don't really have to fight to get your way because people trust you. You don't have to like put your hat on and be like, I'm the dominating. No, people just automatically trust you. You have authority that
Mm,
it's so freaking beautiful. And it is like my favorite thing to watch and
yeah.
witness and like steward in myself.
It's the Queen of Hearts that,
Yeah.
you're actually
Mhm.
it's like this you've that yeah, it's that thing of actually being like you're in your power.
Mhm.
You are it's just like this purity. I don't know if purity is the right word, is it? And authenticity isn't the right word, but it's sort of a beingness. It's a radiance that comes
Yeah,
with I'm not
it's an embodied,
proving, I'm
yeah.
not fighting.
Uh-huh.
Embodiment, yeah. And a sort of like,
Mhm.
finally, you are who you are. There's nothing out there's
Yes.
just I don't know, acceptance. Is that what it is? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It really is. It's like I'm not proving. There's no more proving. There's no more like fighting. There's no more trying to convince people that you are or you're not or whatever. It's like you just be. You just get to be. You just get to
Yeah,
create. And
yeah.
people like you naturally become the point of reference, not for people to become like you, but for people to find their way. Like that's what I really see
Mm,
myself as a matriarch with my kids, because my kids' friends come to me for guidance whenever they like spend the night. Like people, my husband's friends will come and ask me questions, and it's like I'm not seeking to be this person that everybody comes to, but it's just a natural result of the way that I hold space for people because I'm so embodied in who I am, and there's
yeah,
nothing that I'm trying to gain or manipulate or like extract. There's no motives behind what I'm doing.
yeah,
Um they just naturally they want to walk with you. And it's like that's the
yes.
best thing. Like I get to walk with you. I get to walk with you as long as you want me to walk with you.
Mm, yeah. That's so beautiful. So, we I think actually I don't know if this is not relevant. I just my eye just popped down and I just saw something
Yeah.
because 'cause we're coming to the end now. It was just, it's not a question that links with what we've just been talking about, but I think it comes back to the beginning of our story and looking at your role as the 3-5, the pioneer, the innovator, the woman who
Mhm.
has that ability to tap into an idea, bring it forward, and then make it a trend.
Mhm.
There, at the beginning, when we spoke the first time, there was this idea that there was a little frustration that people would copy and then you would let it go. But actually,
Mhm.
we came up with this question: if someone copied your strategy but not your energy, would they get the same result?
Right. And the answer is no.
No, of course they're not. And that is, I think, what
Absolutely
again
not.
the beauty of human design. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And it's
Absolutely
like,
not. Like, I
yeah,
know because even when I think about the AI stuff, like, again, I wasn't the first person that did AI images, but I was the first person that did it in a way that made it take off and made it desirable to people, not just like a quick, cheap gimmicky thing, and people had been trying to get it mainstream, get people to accept and approve of it, but because it wasn't me, it wasn't my energy in it that like took it and got it so that people saw this as this is actually not a cheap service at all. This is like we want this. It's a coveted thing now. Ah, so yeah, to your
yes,
point, it's like
exactly.
you can do the strategy, but if you don't have my energy, it's not gonna my energy is what carries it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone was listening and they wanted to join Lead Like a Matriarch, are there spaces available? Is it a membership? What is it? And how do they go about that?
Absolutely, yeah, so I'm in the founding member stage, so it's a low ticket membership, it's $55 a month right now. I'm gonna raise the price in July, I'm gonna double it, so it'll be 111, still really, really reasonably priced, but it's basically like a community of women and we come together and we're talking about like matriarchal matters. We're unpacking what is the stuff that we think about a matriarch? How do we tend to things? How do we steward things? So there's like the monthly calls that we're having. There's also curriculum of like how I got to the where I started to how I got to the place of how I lead now. There's also like I drop coaching riffs in there where it's like thoughts and things that I'm musing on and like that I think are really relevant related to life and business and like all the things. So it's just a really juicy space that I'm excited to grow and
Oh,
steward that.
God, yeah, I can completely imagine. And also, just one
Right.
last comment on your chart. We see, I mean, she's got so much definition, and all of them we can see in all aspects of her business. But this final
Mhm.
one of the 4426, the channel of a transmitter, is,
Mhm.
community. It's about building that and stewarding that space and holding your people in that connection.
Yes.
And we've got the 50 as well. So, yeah, anyone who is listening and you resonate with Deborah, I would
Yeah.
I would go and join that now because, yeah, $55 a month to
Thank
get
you.
what you're gonna get. And she is masterful. She's got the 1648. So it's not about all of the certifications, but this is not someone who's just learnt a load of stuff. She's mastered
Right.
these things. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
many
for sure.
qualifications,
And
so
I
many
like everything
modalities.
is absolutely. And it's all, like, rooted through my lived experience, like, that's my 3 is it's
Yeah.
always something that I've experienced and learned from. And then, like, once it's
Yeah.
embodied, like, okay, and now I can bring this to others too.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So thank you for listening, everybody. And a couple of things I would like you to go. Just a couple of things that if you've listened to the end, I should have mentioned this throughout. Subscribe, like, follow. And if you want to enter community with me, join the Sovereign CEO Facebook community. It's free and it's full of visionary leaders who are building real relationships and an ecosystem to create sacred sales and soulful business, soulful service. So if you're a thought leader, if you're a creator, if you're a coach, if you're a healer, and you want to be in community where you can show up, share, communicate, contribute, and create and build relationships and sell, I want you in the Sovereign CEO Facebook community. Thank you, thank you, thank you.